Hi, Year 1s and Year 2s at wonderful Fairview Primary School. I'm not 100% sure who you are this year because I know there's been a changeover of year levels for different people, so please excuse my generic terming of Year 1s and 2s for you. So happy though to be sharing this information. Really, I'm focusing in on spelling. This is all very practical, what you can just get up and run with straight away this year and know that you are bringing in the elements of successful spelling programs and covering those things of the Australian curriculum in a manageable way. So there's a few things that I want you to just have handy and in front of you. So you'll have a link to download these particular things. So in a moment, pause and go and make sure that you've got these things to have with you if you haven't already got them. One is the learning a word sheet or routine. So if you can have that one. Also want you to have the spelling inquiry and effective process sheet. And really importantly, Year 1s, the Year 1 spelling curriculum weekly schedule sample and Year 2 spelling curriculum weekly schedule sample. If you've got those, I can then know that you've got what you need to make sense of the things that we are going through in this session. So back to me when you're ready. Because I've got the 2 year levels here together, I'm going to work through just the Year 1 weekly schedule as a sample because your Year 2, you'll see all the parallels to Year 2. So I don't want you to feel like I'm ignoring Year 2 altogether. It's actually the processes that are really important for us to be thinking through. So if everyone can be having a look at the Year 1 spelling curriculum, that's the one that I'm going to work with. And I'm going to be highly practical and show you what these 10 days, this isn't just 10 days only, this is a weekly schedule that's kind of like got an A week and a B week. And this is a schedule, a sample schedule that can run throughout the year. The power of this is bringing all things together that are on the curriculum at the year level. So for Year 1, on our curriculum we have work around sounds, we have work around high frequency words, we have some work around phonological awareness, we still have some work around letter names, onset and rhyme, word families, and some of that phonological awareness work around changing letters and, deleting and substitution. I think I've covered everything for Year 1. Year 2, your curriculum covers those things, but includes 2 more. Well, actually, we don't have as much phonological awareness in Year 2, but we still have sound work, high frequency word work, onset rhyme work. We also introduce compound words and spelling patterns. But the processes for working with these are the same at each year level. And so in that principles and practices video that you will have watched by now, one of the things that I talked about is this inquiry process. And this is a critical part of the work right across from, begins in pre-primary and it appears at every year level, particularly through the term generalisations in the Australian curriculum. Making generalisations means that you have inquired and that you are able to make hypotheses about how a spelling pattern works or a sound works. This is what builds strategies for students. So rather than us giving the rule to say this is how it works, this making of generalizations is what enables students to make sense of and be entirely strategic around working with words and working with not just a word, but knowing that for each word that they can write, spell, they can write many words, because that generalisation will apply to that. We will talk about, and I'll reference that sheet shortly, but in front of you, I'm just going to do some demonstrations around each of the days of this 10-day cycle, and knowing that for each of these days, how long would each of these sessions take? 10 to 15 minutes. Can they be a dedicated word work spelling time in the day? Yes, they can. Can they fall into a reading workshop time outside of the spelling time? Yes, they can. We want students to know that there is a complete link between this work that we're doing and the reading and the writing that they're doing, that these things are not happening in isolation. If we don't make those connections, then we don't get transfer and we've lost that opportunity. Let's have a little look through at what we've got here for our 10 days. So day 1 says sounds. First up, listen for a focus sound. List words. So, what sound would we be listening for? Year 1, there's 2 places to go to get information about that. One will be on your Fairview Primary School word work scope and sequence. Year 1, we've got letter sound relationship, and it's already got a whole lot of, for term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, some possible sounds that you could be working with. The other place for you to go is in the literacy learning continuum, or the literacy continuum. You have got year 1, a whole lot of suggested sounds that can be the focus. Which ones do you choose? Good question, because you don't need to cover every sound, but you need to give strategies for working with this so that students can know how it is they go about understanding and be able to hypothesize about a whole lot of sounds. So don't look at a list and think, oh my goodness, I'll be doing sounds for eternity here and I'll have no time to do anything else. Just know you do not have to cover every sound, but which sound you might choose, that might be a noticing. Where are you noticing that? In students' writing? Where are they having confusions? Or in their reading? Where are they having confusions about what letters make that sound? So I'm choosing a sound for demonstration purposes here, and that is the A sound. And at year 1, there's 2 common sounds that will be making that, AY and AI. And so where do I begin? It says, listen for a focus sound and list words. I don't want to pick just random words. What I want to be able to do is think about what can I bring to students that they can access, and that's usually with some text, with something that I've got on the go, and my poetry is a perfect place for that. So because we are listening for a sound, I'm going to be using this as an example, the poem, The Pig in the Sack. As I read this, I want them to know that there is a context for this, but I'm asking them to listen to the sounds. So the sound we are listening for is the A sound, the A sound. A as in, I'd most likely connect that to names. Is there anyone in the class who has the A sound in their name? All right, so listen for the focus sound of A. The pig in the sack. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. Hear the wheels on the railway track. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. All the way to town and back. All right. I'm going to read it again, and I'm going to be getting students to identify now where they hear that sound. I may need to say, all right, there's 3 places that I know that you will hear that sound. Listen for them. Listen for them. All right, so I can read again, and what I might get them to do is put up a finger or, just to say, right, I hear one, I hear two, yes, I've heard three. But I can tune them in and help them be successful about that. Then it says list the words. So in the big book, this A2, great place for all of these things to go. Let's list the words. So what sound have we been listening for? I'm going to write it this way, the A sound. That might help our students know what it is we're listening for. And what words did we hear? We heard all the way. So we heard way, we heard railway. We heard it 3 times, but only in 2 words. So we heard it in way and in railway. From here, what's important for us to also do is what part of the word has made the A sound. So that's all I need to do to finish this off. What part of the word has made the A sound? A, so AY has made the A sound. Ale, AI has made the A sound. The AY has made the A sound. We can do some more work. We can listen for some more words on that and collect some more. But remember, I just want 10 to 15 minutes to start this work because I'm doing some more work on this tomorrow on day 2. Now, the next thing on day 1 says high frequency words. Also says it on year 2. Day 1, year 2 isn't doing a sound focus, it's doing a spelling pattern focus. So exactly what we've done here in the book. I don't have a sound up here, I have a spelling pattern, and I've got words. Where have we got those from? From text that we're reading. The high frequency word says search for and list high frequency words. Now, that means as we are reading, we want to search for words. As readers, we see a lot in our reading. So if I took this poem again, what words, well, of course we see clickety-clack a lot in this one, but what other words do we see a lot? So this is the idea of we see a lot of words as readers. We see words often, so we need to learn to recognise them. They appear often with high frequency, and we use those words a lot in our writing as high frequency words. So these are words we see and hear a lot. And so read and write a lot. Let's go searching. All right, here, let's have a look. Hear the wheels on the railway track. Clickety-clack, all the way to the town and back. All right, so a high frequency word would definitely be the word. So on another page here, excuse me. So on another page, we're going to list high frequency words that we find. So let's call them that, high frequency words, or words we use a lot in our writing and see a lot in our reading. I've just made that a very long sentence when in fact a much easier one for us to have worked with would have been this one, words we most often use as readers and writers. So that's really what high frequency words are all about. There's tape, masking tape or tape, coloured tape that is easy to put on and peel off. We can do that, underlining these words. And so I can start listing. All right, so the is a word we use a lot. And we can count that up, how many times it's even been used here. All right, so we thought 1, 2, 3, 4 times in there. What else do we see a lot? All right, the word to. To. All right, so we may list the word 2. We might list the word in, a. So we can start listing things that we're finding. So the important thing about high frequency words is that at any year level we're working with our students, whether year 1, year 2, high frequency words means the words they use most often as readers. So at this age, what words do they see a lot of? So that's why we want to, from reading that we're doing, we want to gather those words so that we can recognise them as words we use a lot. What does it say? Search for and list high frequency words. Have class learn a high frequency word and add to word wall. Learning a word. This little process of learning a word, first up it says have class learn a high frequency word. Where are you going to get that word from? Year 1 and year 2, you might use the Oxford list of words. By the end of year 1, we say students should be able to read and write 100 plus. End of year 2, 200 plus. There are about 100 words that we are really focusing on having our students learn across a year. So if we're to do that, high frequency words has to appear often on our spelling program. As you will find in year 1, you see it appearing every day. In year 2, you see it appearing every day. So there is good reason for that to happen. It doesn't mean you're doing a new word every day, but it does mean that that gives an opportunity across the year to learn a significant number of high frequency words, and not just a singular high frequency word, but other words that belong to that family. What's a word that you would choose for the class to learn? Choose a word that you are seeing your students are having difficulty with in their writing. So if it is the word the, that would be the word that you would learn. How do we go about learning it? Now, this is a process we can use for any word that we are learning. And it goes like this. The first thing we do is notice. So I've got the word the written there. The idea is to notice parts of the word and what part of the word might you have difficulty with. What do you see? Letter shapes. Do you know the names of those letters? But what do you notice about that word? So I might say, okay, the word the T and the H together make the V sound. It ends in an E, but we don't hear an E sound. We don't even hear an E sound. I notice that T and H are tall letters. E is a lower letter. What do we notice about that word? This is really looking at the word, noticing it. Why is it important to notice? Because we need to build a familiarity with this word, not just for its components, but for what this word looks like. To notice it, what it looks like and what it does. All right, so what are the things that we notice? And so we spend some time talking about that. Now we say the word the. Now we spell the word. The is spelt T-H-E. I might want to spell it like this, T-H-E, because the T-H together is making sound and then the E. So what we do is have children work out ways of how am I going to learn this word that I can remember it. So T-H-E. All right, I cover the word and then I write it. T-H-E. And then I check the word. Now this is an important part of the process. The child needs to be the one doing the checking. Check, have I got T? Yes. Have I got H? Yes. Have I got E? Yes. It is critical that they are in charge of learning how to check. Because without being in charge of checking, they are missing a whole big part of what it is to learn words and be responsible for that learning. So This is a great activity. I need to model this strategy. It is a strategy. And then a great way to do it is, one of the ways that you can begin with is having children on the floor with you with whiteboards so that you can easily watch as they're writing. I do prefer personally to have students at tables with a whiteboard. Then it gives them the opportunity, and for me, to talk about how they sit at the table, how they hold. I like them to work with not big markers, but with a pen size marker, so that they are beginning to learn handwriting processes. Not beginning to learn, they need to start this in pre-primary, but how I sit at the table, how I am writing, how I am forming my letters. So letter formation should be correct here, so that as I come around and rove, I should be able to read that word fluently. This is a process that involves not only learning a word, but handwriting, proofreading, revising a word, editing a word, taking a risk. So all of these things that we want them to do as writers, and then I can get them to do that once, or I might get them to do that a few times. So if it's their letter formation wasn't good, let's do some more. Let's focus in on the letter formation. If I've spelt incorrectly, come back to that. Tell me how the word is spelt. Go through this process again. A school should have a process for learning words across the school. This works for every age level. And if it's not this process, you can find other processes, but this one has all these elements that are critical for children becoming responsible and in control of learning how to spell any word, learning the spelling of any word with good processes, so they have a strategy. I can get children to use the word. I can get them to, at this year level, I do have another little resource for you. So what are other things that I can get students to think about? For Foundation 1, 2, write any smaller words you can see in the word. Oh, no smaller words there. Write something that surprised you about the word and something that will help you remember how to spell it. Write any other words that have the same spelling pattern. Check a resource to make sure you're right. Can you add a letter to any of your words to make a new word? Can you make compound word with any of your words? So the idea is, though, to have a learning a word strategy. Okay, what else did it say? And then add this to the word wall. So year 1 really still benefits from an alphabetical word wall. That means that the word the is now up on a word wall. We can physically have a child put it up there. Where will it go? And a word wall should be somewhere that's very accessible for students to be able to see and use as a resource. So there is a place when they're writing the word the that they can check themselves. Have I spelt it correctly? If I'm not sure, but I should have in my mind, I'm writing the word the, T-H-E, the, or the, T-H-E, in which case the E does make the E sound. I can hear someone saying that right now. So in that way, the word wall allows for checking. It becomes a resource. We have to help students know how to use it. All right, I'm only on day 1. My apologies. Day 2, continue searching for words with sound. So the A sound, I go back to my page and I get them to continue searching for words. Now, I might actually get them to search for words in their own reading. So continue searching for words with that sound. I can use Big Book and we can find some more. Or I might say, right, before you come down to the floor today, as you're reading, I want you to just notice any words that you found that have the A sound in them. Or we might, as we said, go back to names. What about Renee? That's got an A sound, so I can add Renee onto the list. Right. Now, it says group words according to letters and spelling pattern that represent the sound. So, over here now on this side, I can start doing some sorting. Because I'm getting words from books that they're reading, it might only be limited to the AY and a spelling pattern, but if others come up, I would include those. So now I can put up here AY, AI. Do I want to do double E? I may want to do that. So here I will put way, here I will put rail, here I will put Renee. And now we've got the opportunity for children to add words here that they've found onto those. Forming generalisations. What do we do here? Oh, I can also put railway. I might put it as both of those things, and I might put railway over here too to show that that's a word with the A in there. I can talk about those as compound words, especially if I'm in year 2, but I can do it in year 1 as well. Right, forming generalisations. I haven't got many words there at the moment, but forming generalisations, I generally call this noticings. So generalisations on this sheet about the spelling inquiry, down here, guide students to make generalisations. Guide students to form hypotheses based on their examples, to verbalise and write about their understanding, and to reflect on how their new understanding can be applied to their own writing and reading. First up, based on these examples, what are our noticings? So someone may say the letters, or they might use the word spelling pattern, but the letters A, Y can make the A sound. And who might have said that? Let's say that was Kelly that said that. Let me put her name next to it as an example of what's been said. Another noticing might be the letters AI can make the A sound. Another noticing might be, because we've got, remember, it's a noticing based on the examples that they have here. And let's say we've also got up here play and say and day. And someone might say, make the generalisation or notice that the letters AY making the A sound can be at the end of a word. So that's a generalisation or a noticing that we can add here, name next to it. So anything based on what we've got up there that is a noticing. If later on we go, oh, I've got to adjust that noticing because now we've found this, I add that information to it. But this is ongoing, you can see over the days, but I'm not doing everything on just one day, I'm doing it over a number of days. But 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes on a day, so I'm just doing a small amount of work on that. Phonological awareness says alliteration. So where might I get some alliteration from? So I might get some alliteration from a book like Animalia, or from tongue twister books where I've got horrible hairy hogs hurrying homeward and on heavily harnessed horses. So what does alliteration mean? What does that look like? We can find some, I can record some of those, I can have students writing some of their own. How do I use that? Why is that something that I am bringing to them? It's phonological awareness by hearing the same sound that begins each of those words. So it's a good way to review sounds. What sounds do they know and how can they write a silly sentence or a sentence that makes sense? Using alliteration, we can then bring it as a tool for them as writers to say, do you know what? Alliteration can be used in writing for effect. And how would we do that? Day 2, have class learn a high frequency word and add to word wall. So day 2, not the word the this time, unless we're really struggling with it, and I'd bring it to them again. But maybe if I'm bringing it to them again, I'd bring it with another word. I could attach that to another high frequency word like like holiday. Maybe holiday is a high frequency word that we are going to be learning. The holiday. So I'd get them to write both of those words. But bring them a new word, and we add that to the word wall. I did talk about you could do that on whiteboards. You can also do this word learning in their workbook. So in that way, you are getting them to practice letter formation on the lines that they would be working on, good handwriting formation in the size that they would be working with. So know that that can be a really powerful opportunity to build, and I'd have a section of their word workbook where they work on their high frequency words in that way with that learning. I might even give them a copy of this. I'll be modelling a lot of this until it becomes a routine for them to be able to do that for themselves. But at year 1 and year 2, there are words that I would be making decisions about bringing to them. There is also one other resource that you can tap into, and that is helping children to learn high frequency words, information for teachers. That's on Teachific, Di Snowball's article. She has got the first 144 of the high frequency words from Oxford. They are in alphabetical order. They're not in order of 1 to 140. But what she has done is she has, and this is particularly useful for year 2s, if I'm teaching the word about, I might also teach at the same time the word out. I might also teach the word house, because there I have a spelling pattern that in year 2 I may well have worked with or am going to be working with. So OU appears in about and out and house, so I can make links there. Di also adds some lovely information about history of words and why words are spelt the way they are, so because of their history. So that is also a really useful tool for adding some more information to our students about words, and also adding that great feature of if I am spelling about, I can also spell out and can also use that, as we said, for. So then what else might I be able to spell? About, out, pout. Right, so then we always get them thinking about, if I know how to spell this, what else does this help me to spell? All right, day 3, letter names. Play I Spy. By playing I Spy, we are listening for the letter name but looking for the letter in text. So once again, I can have text up here. So if I'm finding that I've got some students confused and not knowing all of their letter names, I can be using the letter name and getting students to be searching for the letters. So if I say, I spy with my little eye the letter P. Where am I finding the letter P in this line? And we can get someone to come and point. I spy with my little eye the letter K. Where do I find the letter K? And I can have a number of children come up. If I want to use that tape to do that work, I can underline there so that we can show what we've found. High frequency words, onset and rhyme. So this time, have class learn a high frequency word. I'm just looking back on day 3. Add to the word wall, use a high frequency word for onset rhyme activity. What high frequency words can we use? I can use words like this. So in my book, here's the high frequency word in. I can use that as a rhyme, and that means I could use it in the word tin, bin, fin. I can write these in different colours, or I can underline. If I know how to spell in, I can also spell in. I can also spell in. I can also use it as an onset. If I know how to spell in, I could write inside. I could write input. So whatever's appropriate, applicable to the year level. Good words for using from high frequency word lists are in, at, it, and. So as you look through the list, you'll go, okay, and there's a whole lot of onset and rhyme work that can be done. Day 3, word families. So list words in a word family. So now I'm doing that morphology work. So if I've got a word, I might want to take it from work that we've been doing. So from my poem, I might pick the word hear. Hear the wheels on the railway track. The word hear. So if I want to do word families, here, what other words belong in this family? So hears, hearing, heard. Compound word, I'm just thinking of this one, but we can go in all of those ways. So hearsay. Can I have hearsay? Maybe I can. All right, that's an example. All right, day 4. It says continue from day 2, review generalizations. So back to my pages here on my noticings, and what generalizations have I got? What other generalizations can I add there? High frequency word, this time changing letters. Search for and list high frequency words. Have class learn a high frequency word. Change letters in high frequency word to form new words. So for example, so this is that lovely phonological awareness work where we can, if I've got the word go, what can I change a letter? Go, to do, to know, to so, to. Right, so that's changing letters, and then for the high frequency words we can form some generalizations. Day 5, high frequency word, change letters, have class learn a new word, add to word wall, change letters to form new words. So this time we have man, men, met, get. Do that in the big book. Get those threads happening so children know how we can go about, if I know this, what can I change that to? Phonological awareness, sound segmentation in high frequency words. So we're not just choosing random words to segment. Let's choose words that we've been working with. So we can go through words that are on the word wall. That's a perfect place to gather words because they're high frequency, and how can we listen to the sounds within those words. So like in man, is the first sound, is the second sound, is the third sound. So if you want to do any of those things about putting a finger up for each of those sounds that we hear, saying the sound, but that's where we can do that sound segmentation. Day 6, high frequency word, have class learn a new word, show how knowing to spell this word helps to spell others. So if I know how to spell land, I know how to spell hand, sand, band, landscape. So knowing how to spell something, how I can use that to spell others. Onset and rhyme, select a high frequency word for onset and rhyme activity and list those words. So back here, onset and rhyme, we did in that day, we do a different one. Day 7, high frequency words. Use high frequency word to develop word families. So we've done that work before. Day 8, letter name, read an alphabet book. Have class learn a new word, so reading any kind of alphabet book, so maybe Animalia or something like that, that's letting us review and being consolidated with letter names. Have class learn a new word, show how learning to word, so not new on day 8, phonological awareness. Now sound blending. Sound blending from our high frequency words. So words on our word wall, we blend. This word means not bad. It is good. What is it? So looking for the word on the word wall means not bad. It is good. So looking for that word and telling us. Day 9, high frequency word families. Have class learn a new word, add to word wall. use high frequency words to develop sound families. So looking for words and which words we can group together by sounds. Onset and rhyme, select high frequency words for onset and rhyme activity again, list words. So you can see we keep coming back to the same kinds of activities. Day 10, sounds, listen for a focus sound. So this is a new one. Identify letters and spelling patterns represent the focus sound. This is to be continued. That starts a new cycle and high frequency word. So that's a way of mapping out all of these aspects of sounds, phonological awareness, high frequency words, letter names that all link with each other, that reference back to high frequency words and the word wall, that reference text that we're using and work that we're doing, so that when we're modelling and when we are recording and gathering this information from our students, we're anchoring it and giving them the language and the thinking for what it is that they're doing, building those generalizations and those noticings, and really building their knowledge about how words are working. So year 2, you're going to have to look at your year 2 in the same kind of way, but remember the modelling here is anchor in the book, a word wall. Year 2, still a great thing to have available for your students, and really building that word learning strategy, big thing that we can do for our students. By year 2, some of that high frequency word work might not always be going up onto a class word wall, but may in fact be starting to go onto personal word walls. And I think I've shown you those. If not, let me know and we'll go through that. Enough from me. Happy work with that. Toes in, try those things out. Starting to build the routine of it and knowing that you're anchoring things around this class journal of things that you're doing. Before long, this will become a solid routine for your own students. Happy days. Thanks, everyone. Bye.